Hi everybody, welcome to my channel Frugalisama. My name's Sam and this is where I talk about all things dressmaking. Today I've got a quick review of the Miranda dress by Sew Me Something, which is a dress that you can see here. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed so far. If you like to watch videos about sewing, particularly dressmaking, I bring you makes, reviews and plans on a Sunday. Then a Friday I've been doing Frugal Fridays, which talks about the newest free patterns that are available, discounts and challenges. And then midweek I usually bring some sort of tutorial. So on to today's video. So just a little bit of a background of this dress to start off with, and Sew Me Something are a new pattern company to me. I only became aware of them around Christmas time when they had a giveaway to win a sewing hamper full of haberdashery, and I was lucky winner. And I didn't know at the time, but it also included a pattern from their catalogue. So it was a pattern of my choice and I could have chosen anything from their website. They have about 30 patterns, and I will, at the end, I will just do a screen share of all the different patterns that they have so you can have a look as well, in case it's a new pattern company to you. So the PDFs usually retail for £10 and the printed versions usually retail for £20. I did actually think they would just send me the PDF version, but I did actually get the full paper version, and this is how it comes in this sort of a buff cardboard, and just the pattern comes inside there. The pattern pieces are on equivalent of normal printing paper, maybe a little bit thinner but not tissue paper, so really good quality. Instruction booklet is quite comprehensive. You've got 24 pages of instructions in there. Last couple of pages are for notes, and there is a glossary included in it as well. I was really spoilt for choice of what to choose from the Sew Me Something catalogue. But I went for the Miranda dress because I thought it had some really nice little details. This particular pattern has got two variations. You can make it with or without pockets, and then you can make it with or without a V-neck there. So you would normally have a V-neck. So obviously you can see that I went for the V-neck. And also with the sleeves, you can actually choose to put a little notch in the sleeves or not. And I went for as much design detail as possible, really. So they describe this pattern as one of their more fitted patterns. A lot of their aesthetic is quite sort of casual wear, quite loose fitting, but I personally prefer something that's a little bit more fitted. But this is not by any means a fitted dress, it's just a more fitted for their actual aesthetic, I would say. So yeah, I was torn between this dress and the cargo trousers, and I'm really glad that I went for the dress because I love wearing dresses. I wear trousers as well. I've got jeans on at the moment, but I do like a nice dress. So I'm just going to run over a couple of design details about it first, and then we'll go on to how it sews up. Got princess scenes running down the front and the back, and then you've got a zip closure, and then you've got these pleats at the front and the back skirt as well. So they're like an inverted box pleat. That just gives you a little bit of room for manoeuvre. And then these pleats sort of go into the pocket, and then you've got a slanted pocket. If ever I've got opportunity to put pockets in something, then I will. Probably won't put anything in those pockets apart from maybe tissues. I probably won't put anything as heavy as a phone in there, simply because of the fabric that I've chosen. There are two sleeve lengths with this one as well. So that's like a 3/4 length sleeve that I've gone for, or there's a shorter sleeve variation as well. Since I've made this and I'm recording this in February, I thought the long sleeves would be more appropriate for the time of year that we're in. But yeah, in the right fabric it would make a nice little summer dress as well with the shorter sleeves. So they are describing this as an intermediate make, and I think that's probably because it's got a zip in it, because really and truly there's nothing in this pattern that's particularly difficult. It's just use of an invisible zip. There's nothing in there that's especially difficult. I would say a confident beginner could definitely tackle this pattern. I went for the V-neck and the notches in the sleeves just because I really liked that detail. I thought it was a bit unusual. The slanted pockets that go into this middle panel as well, I just thought it made it look a little bit extra, a little bit different. So the fabric recommendations for it are cotton, a cotton poplin, linen, and then you can actually make it in a crepe or a crepe machine, viscose rayon, or a lightweight wool, or a needle cord. Be really, really nice and cosy in a fine needle cord for a winter dress, just layered up with a polar neck on underneath or something like that. It'd be really nice. I had this linen that I bought in the summertime and I'm really desperate to use it. It's just like a mid-blue, almost a light denim blue, and I did have some sort of maybe overalls or a jumpsuit marked out for it, but I did think it made me look a little bit like an engineer, so I shied away from that idea. So a couple of other design details on it are that the cuff here is actually fully lined lined, and on the line drawings you can actually see that there's a stitching line across it. I actually chose to make a feature of that so that I can turn these cuffs that way around and just have them flipped out if I wanted to. And you might notice that it's the same fabric that I've got on here. This is a Melilot shirt that I made as part of the capsule wardrobe that I made back in October. At first I thought it was a Liberty, but it's actually a Pima cotton lawn. Kept a little bit back so that I can use in other projects. So I've used it to do the facings of the cuff here, and then I've actually put it on the inside of the pockets as well, that only you and me now will know about. I think you can just about see it there. Nobody's ever going to see that. Just one of those little quirks that us dressmakers like to do. But it pleases me. I've got enough of this fabric left to maybe put into another project. I've got some ideas of maybe doing something patchworky with the rest of it. And also I've got a little bit more of the linen left as well. It's a really strange one to photograph, is this. It is like a mid-blue. And you can probably see it quite well there, the true colour. But when I'm showing some photographs later of the interior of it, it comes up more of a grey blue. It is a really strange one to photograph. The variation that I went with is version 1, and that is telling me that I needed 2.5 metres of fabric. I think I only had 2, to be honest. So, you know, on a plain fabric, you're not going to use a great deal. And it's actually quite ideal with the panels that you're not using a great deal of fabric. And if you went short sleeved, you wouldn't use as much. Use a little bit more in the notched variation, because this panel here is more or less replicated in order to give you this V here. And then other than fabric, you just need a little bit of lightweight interfacing and a 22-inch concealed zip. And I will talk about that in a little bit. But first of all, I'd just like to talk about sizing on it. Unusually for me, I managed to find almost my perfect size within one size range on this. So the size 14 equated to a 37.5-inch bust, a 32-inch waist, and 40 5/8 of an inch hip. Normally I have to find my bust size and then grade out to my waist size, but I am almost exactly those sizes. I'm 37-inch bust, 32-inch waist, and I'm usually about 41-inch hip. So it made a nice change not to do any grading on this, but there is an awful lot of ease in this. So for a 37.5-inch bust, the actual finished garment measurement is 44.5 inches. And the actual finished waist for a 32-inch waist is 37.5 inches, so you've got lots of ease. So when I came to try this on, I found that it was just too shapeless on me. So I actually went back in and started from more or less the armpit, graded in 1/2 inch on each side to the waist, and then took that 1/2 inch grading right down to the hem line, and I just found that was much better for me. The only other alteration that I made to this was the hem. They actually advise for the hem that you only turn it by 1 centimetre and then turn it again by another 1 centimetre. And when I came to try it on, it hit me sort of mid-knee. Not somewhere that I like my dresses to finish. Don't mind a long dress, but I prefer shorter dresses to finish me a little bit under the knee. I don't like them to finish on my knee. I think it's because I've got probably knobbly knees and I don't like to highlight them. Anyway, I decided not to cut it off, but just do the 1 centimetre turn, and then I've done about 5 centimetres, maybe a little bit more. That I just prefer a deeper hem on something like this. On a finer fabric, then yes, I go for a narrower hem, but on a linen like this, I prefer a deeper hem, and that's just personal choice. Also personal choice is whether you actually use your machine to sew your hem or whether you hand stitch, and I prefer to hand stitch. So on to hand stitching. There's not a massive amount of hand stitching in this, but I did decide not to make a feature of these cuffs. If you look at the line drawings, you can see that they have made a feature of it by sewing around with machine. I just decided to hand stitch it, and also this facing needs from the inside needs stitching down to the waist seam, which again I decided to do by hand. So I did probably a little bit more hand stitching than was necessary, but that's part of dressmaking that I actually enjoy. So on to the zip. So our fabric shops are actually closed at the moment. We're in lockdown 3.0 or whatever they want to call it. And the only zip that I had available in my stash that was 22 inches was a completely wrong shade of blue. And during construction of this, I actually went onto Instagram and said, what would you do? Would you wait until you've got one that's matched, or because it's a concealed zip, would you just go ahead? If you've seen any of my videos before, you will know that I've just started work in a fabric shop. We're actually close to the public, but we are doing online orders, and I've been in for a couple of training days. So on my first training day, I asked if there was a 22-inch zip that would match this, and the answer was no. She had a grey one, or she had something that equally didn't match. So I decided to go ahead with the one that I already had. Now, all the time I kept thinking, I bet I can get this over my head without a zip. And I don't really know why I didn't listen to my own advice, because no sooner had I put the zip in and tried it on, I realised that I could get this straight over my head without a zip. So all that angst and what have you, I couldn't find one, and I've just made do with what I've got, which is what I do. So as you can imagine, with 20 odd pages of instructions, the instructions are really good and clear. Everything's there that you need to know, nothing that's not clear except the attachment of the facing around the zip, and I just couldn't get my head round it. Just some pictures that I just couldn't fathom out, so it just didn't make any sense to me, and I just ended up doing my own thing. It resulted in a nice finish, and that's all that mattered really. The only other little trouble that I had, and this is a fabric, it's nothing to do with the pattern or the instructions, is you can probably see it a little bit on here, but it's not as bad, is that this V here, the top of the V, want to push forward. It was quite floppy and quite annoying when I first tried it on. I've actually gone back in here and put a little bit of facing, a stiffer facing than what I was using on the rest of the facing, into here to stop it from doing that quite so much. And in retrospect, really, what I should have done is used the rest of this fabric that I've got here, this Pima lawn that I've got here that I've used on the cuffs and on the inside of the pockets, and made a feature of that. Used that for the facing and made a feature of that. So I might think about that when I make this pattern again. I actually think it'd be really nice in a denim, in a nice lightweight denim. So yeah, I might think about doing that, making a feature of it. And you could actually then sort of sew it down like that, or make, you know, press it down so that it's a feature. You could press it down and put a button on, whatever you fancy. So I do like a V-neck, and I do like how that's finished. So yeah, the construction of the pockets are a little bit unusual, and you have got opportunity to do maybe a little bit more colour blocking than what I've done, or using contrast fabrics as well, because these tops of these pockets are a separate piece. So you can go to town with maybe using different size of fabrics to just use a little bit of contrast or something like that. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the pattern. I'm really pleased with the fit now that I've just brought that into my desired taste. Just reading your finished garment measurements and trying as you go will probably save you a little bit of time if you don't like a lot of ease on your waist. I prefer my waist to be a little bit more defined, but this was never ever meant to be a fitted garment. It's quite clear that it's never a fitted garment, even though they're saying it's more fitted for their aesthetics. Lovely and comfortable, great for workwear. So I would highly recommend this pattern company, and I would highly recommend this pattern and the instructions. So I hope you like this little review, and maybe I've brought you a new pattern company. And the good thing is that they do PDFs, so that if you are an international viewer, you'll be able to download this. You don't have to have it sent in the post. So I'm just going to go on to a bit of a screen share and have a look at the other patterns that are available here as well. Really liked the cape pattern, and I think the cape pattern was a strong contender. A couple of sleeve variations in that one. Sort of a shift dress, quite short actually. It's sort of verging on the tunic, I think, on that one. That was a strong contender, and the cargo pants as well. I really liked those. In fact, I do quite like quite a lot of them. She's a really nice top pattern. And you might notice that all the patterns are named after Shakespearean characters, because the company is based in Stratford-upon-Avon, where the bard is from. So yeah, there's a little story behind each of the names, and they're all related to Shakespeare. So I thought that was a nice little interesting quirk to the company as well. So I'll insert some pictures of me wearing the Miranda, and hopefully you'll like it as much as I do, and I'm definitely going to get lots of wear out of this. So that's my little review of the Miranda, and if this is the sort of thing that you like, don't forget to subscribe. So let me know below if you've tried Sew Me Something's patterns before and what you think to them. Like I say, it was a new pattern company to me. Definitely got a dress here that I'll wear again and again, and next time I won't be putting a zip in it. There will definitely be a next time, because I will definitely make different variations of this. You've got different sleeve variations, and I think it would be really nice in a denim or a needle cord or something nice and cosy for winter. We're coming into spring now, so probably something, maybe try the short sleeves next. I hope you love it as much as I do, and let me know if you've tempted into trying the pattern company. So that's it from me today. Thanks for watching. I shall speak to you later. Bye.